Where are we going? Global Economic Environment. Assignment 4. Miguel Martin Camasai. July 2018. This is our appreciated planet Earth. Most of the nations in the developed world have already left behind the financial crisis we have been suffering since 2008. Whilst most global citizens should be happy and have increased their life quality standards, the reality tells us that the economic situation has found new risks and situations that can guide us to a new economic disaster. To properly analyze the current situation, it is convenient to start summarizing. Where are we coming from? The subprime crisis started the collapse. A housing and credit bubble collapsed the USA banking system in 2008. Due to the interconnected global financial system, all the banks worldwide were affected. Economy was to crush, and recession arrived at most of advanced economies. This global banking system crisis forced a gorgeous public debt increased. Europe has been one of the parts of the world who has suffered the financial crisis and its consequences the most. It has been and is, yet, quite dramatic in some countries in the south of Europe. These countries were suffering the crisis in its rowdy, with citizens in very hard situation, and families close to lose everything. Some absence of sensity in the press of some countries with a better situation, called them as pigs. Acronym from Portugal, Ireland, Italy, Greece and Spain. Despite the controversy of this offensive name, it was quite common to hear this name in some news, and alerts of a break of the European Union started to sound. Some people in the north of Europe had forgotten that the citizens were not guilty of the situation they were suffering, so it was not fair making them responsible for the crisis. In 2007, the European Central Bank injected €95 billion of public funds in 49 banks in the Eurozone that were in difficulties. Lehman Brothers bankruptcy arrived in 2008. In 2009, Spain, Ireland and Greece established adjustment plans to balance their national accounts that had large imbalances. It is mandatory to remark that, in Spain, unemployment rates overcome more than 25% of the active population. In 2010, Greece and Ireland received public funds as part of their agreements with the European Union and the International Monetary Fund. It was then Portugal, in 2011, who asked for help from the European Union, the European Central Bank, and the International Monetary Fund to save their country from bankruptcy. Greece, again, received new European public funds in this year. During 2012, it was turn for Spain to receive European public funds to avoid the bankruptcy of some of their main banks. Bad times for Spain and its citizens. Consequently, and as explained, Greeks have been the one that has suffered the crisis most. Their public debt levels, up to 142% of its GDP in 2010, after getting caught falsifying their national accounting during 2 consecutive legislatures. The result was that the national deficit was not 3.4%. The real deficit was 12.7%, a figure that awaked all the alarms in the Eurozone. New debates arrived around the convenience of Greece maintained in the European Union and in the Euro. They have lied to us. Some European politicians exclaimed, in very unfortunately statements that lighted the fire of fear, threat, crispation, hate. The best ingredients possible for nationalism. Once we thought we had had enough, new problems came to the fragile situation of the European Union. Brexit. The United Kingdom European membership referendum took place on the 23rd of June 2016, with an extraordinary adjusted result. 52% in favour to leave the European Union, against a 48% of votes to remain. A totally unexpected situation arrived, with new threats in the horizon. a lot of questions started to be asked. Are really the United Kingdom citizens leaving the European Union? Are the Union really bad for them? How was this result possible? Within speech of fear, threats, crispation, and hate. Again, nationalism found its seed to grow in the United Kingdom citizens' opinion and feelings. Both parties are currently negotiating the hypothetical agreement of the Brexit. Its repercussion is still unknown, but, analysing the trade balance, it is hard to find any winner. There is no winner at all. The question is, will both parties find an agreement? Some voices have started to ask for a second referendum, but we have just to wait for developments. Are the European problems the only concern to the global economy? We should have a look to the other side of the Atlantic Ocean. Donald Trump has been elected as President of the United States of America. He won the presidential election on the 8th of November of 2016. A new and, now, familiar question can be asked. How was this result possible? Despite the political analysis, or the deserve of winning by his rival, Hillary Clinton, it is quite fair to remark the Trump line of speech. Based on fear, threats, crispation, and hate. Does not it sound familiar to you now? Yes. It is nationalism. From a global economic perspective, the main threats from Trump are coming from his trade policies. As following his America First campaign slogan, his movements in the international community are leaving no one indifferently. Some of the people are worried. Some other are just expectant. After a period of threats, Trump has established tariffs against Chinese goods. Not only that, Donald Trump has already started to threat the European Union, and new tariffs, by both sides, are to be established. A trade war. Is the Trump strategy the best option for the United States? Will their internal demand be enough to maintain their economic levels? Time will provide us with the answer to these questions. But, momentarily, the global economy is, again, expectant to see what happens in the short future. So, where are we going? After tough years of recession, budget reductions, and social drama, most economies in the developed world have successfully reduced its deficits and started to grow their economies. Unemployment rates are being reduced, and some families are taking a deserved fresh air breath. Despite the black clouds we see on the horizon, we have to be optimistic. We should bet on our society's maturity and avoid old-fashioned mistakes. Nationalism must not lead our policies, and we all, as citizens, have to rethink our vote options for future elections. It is soon to value the consequences of the trade war, and, hopefully, these actions, led by the President of the United States of America, will be just part of his policy strategy before starting new agreement negotiations with both China and the European Union.